Here it is from 1964. It's the Gibson Firebird V, and one of the coolest examples that I've ever had. Really excited about this guitar, and we've got Riggs that came in and played it for us for the end of this video. But yeah, one of Gibson's coolest designs for anything they ever made that actually wasn't even designed by Gibson. This was designed by a man named Ray Deitrich. And he was famous for a bunch of automobile designs, 20s, 30s, 40s. Actually, his company was made famous for being the first company to design a car on paper first and then go and send that to the manufacturer and build it. So that was what he was known for, and he actually retired to Kalamazoo, Michigan, where Gibson's factory was and where its president, Ted McCarty, lived. And you know, Ted McCarty was the president of Gibson from 1948 to about 1965 or 6. It's 1966, yeah, I believe so. I'll have to go read that again. Actually, reading a lot of this information in this book here. This is the Gibson Electric Guitar book by Walter Carter. Shout out, I mean, legend, one of the best there has ever been in the vintage guitar world. But yeah, got a great book on the subject, and he talks about how Ray Deitrich retired to Kalamazoo, Michigan, kind of became friends with Ted McCarty. And he actually kind of posits that Ted McCarty's what he may have perceived in '63 as a failure with the modernistic guitars like the Flying V and the Explorer, which weren't commercially successful. Walter kind of posits that that those failures may have kind of spurred him on to reach out to Ray Deitrich to have him design an electric guitar and hope that it might be a little more successful. And it definitely was. The Gibson Firebird was far more of a commercial success than the modernistic guitars in the late 1950s for whatever reason. But anyway, yeah, he did such a aesthetically amazing looking guitar, but actually structurally it was kind of unique to Gibson as well because it's a neck through design. So the reverse Firebird, like this one pre-1965, you know, is a couple of pieces of wood laminated together, but they're solid all the way through. There's no neck joint here. Not only that, the reason why they called it reverse is that it has an elongated treble side upper bout and a shorter bass side upper bout, which is kind of the opposite of most instruments coming before that. You know, the neck through design wasn't an original Gibson design. It was actually done on Rickenbacker guitars before that. But you know, this was the first for Gibson. They made four different versions of the Firebird: 1, 3, 5, and 7. This is the 5, kind of identified by the trapezoid inlays and the two-pneumatic bridge. So yeah, such a cool, amazing design. You may have noticed that we have it strung kind of a funky way. And this was strung by my friend Matthew, who works here at True Vintage Guitar, great tech. And I pulled it out and I was like, hey, Matthew, why are these strings backwards on the headstock? And he was like, well, you're right. You know, the catalog shows them the other direction. But when you look at the way the strings pull over the nut here, it actually makes a lot more sense because they pull directly straight over the nut. It's not going to bind in the nut. Instead, where if you have it strung the other way, you've got it kind of coming out at an angle at the nut, which can cause tuning stability issues when you actuate the tremolo. So we left it as is because I kind of thought, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. And it is a rock solid tuning guitar, so I got to hand it to Matthew there, but we can string it whichever way you like. So if you notice that, yeah, that's strung kind of technically backwards from what Gibson's catalog says, but I kind of liked it, so we left it. But yeah, this is a really incredible example. I bought it from the family of its longtime owner after they passed. We don't know if it was the original owner, but they just owned it for a long, long time. And then after he passed, they were ready to sell. So I was happy to pick it up. It comes in with just all the coolest wear and vibe, but structurally a really solid guitar, you know, mostly original guitar. In fact, the only thing that's not original is the neck binding here, which was missing when it came in on the treble side. So all of the binding had peeled off on the treble side, which seems to happen on vintage Gibson guitars. Took it to my friend Jason Burns, and he did an amazing job installing a new piece of binding here to where you really can't tell it's been replaced. He used a little bit of kind of amber toner to give it that look, original look, and even kind of wore it away in the places where you would wear like the original binding looks. So this bass side here, this is all the original binding, but with just a little bit spliced in, about 3/4 of an inch down here, which was missing when it came in. Not only that, it did have a neck crack, but not the one you normally think of when you think of Firebirds. Typically they crack right here, and it'll be a really ugly crack that's hard to stabilize again. But this one is rock solid right here. It actually has a crack kind of along the grain between the A and the D tuners, here. You can kind of see it on the front. It was repaired a long time ago, super solid. We kind of went through and flexed it, tried to kind of see if it is as solid as it needs to be a good vintage electric guitar, and it totally was. We didn't feel like we needed to go change it or try to make it go away. Just is what it is, part of this guitar's history. But yeah, it's got just awesome wear, nicking scratches. It's got a little bit of moisture damage on the bottom here. And so I was kind of a little bit worried about the wings, which can delaminate on these Firebirds, but we flexed it and everything is super tight. We didn't need to glue anything down here. I mean, nothing. So it's just totally cosmetic kind of look down here. And the cosmetic look is amazing. I mean, this guitar has all the cool wear and vibe. Neck is dead straight. Truss rod does everything you want it to do. Frets are full height. It's just a great example. And yeah, it's got the 2 original Firebird pickups, which are slightly different than the mini humbucking pickups, in that they kind of have a non-adjustable kind of rail magnet and not the adjustable pole pieces like the mini humbuckers. But other than that, they're a little bit brighter than your typical full-size humbucker because each coil is a little bit underwound compared to your full-size humbuckers, which you'll get to hear Riggs play it here in a little bit. So yeah, beautiful sounding guitar. You might have to lay into that tone knob a little bit more to kind of dial back the brightness that Firebirds typically have. But when you hold and play this guitar, you just feel like $1 million, or at least I do. It's so big and makes such a statement, but also is really comfortable to hold and play, with a strap. So they're just awesome. You really need to play a vintage Firebird if you get the chance. So I'm happy to have Riggs come in and play this one for us and show us how it sounds. So that's the 1964 Gibson Firebird V. That player is Riggs Taylor. You can check out his YouTube channel. It's linked below. My name is John Schultz. My shop's called True Vintage Guitar. I'm here in Birmingham, Alabama. If you're not close by, you can find me at truevintageguitar.com. Check out all the cool vintage guitars we have for sale. Contact information is there if you want to ask any questions. Thanks for watching.